Hey guys, Fusebox here. So we're covering Q.1 from the Get Right chapter. It is listed as DRP, which actually means the daily red pill. And then with help from Posse, I've adapted some of his slides to make them my own. So thank you, Posse. But he puts in there the daily commitment to accelerate fitness, fellowship, and faith. So I chose this chapter in particular because it's a huge building block and takeoff point for us going forward. It is a critical chapter in the Q Source book, and really starts laying out some key phrases, key terms that they will build upon going forward. So without further delay, let's jump right into it. So if I was less boomerish and more millennial, my actual age is, I would bring in the actual clips and show you all this great video of Morpheus talking to Neo from the Matrix movie. But essentially, I've grabbed two screen clips here to give you an idea of what in the heck we're talking about when we say take the daily red pill. So in the Matrix movie, Morpheus is talking to the character Neo, and he's trying to explain to him what the Matrix is. He basically says, in short, there you see on the left, it is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. And then in summary, basically what he is saying is you can continue taking the blue pill, which is what you're used to. It's the status quo. Things will continue on as you know them now. Or you can take the red pill and peek behind the curtain, see the truth, and really move forward and accelerate. So that's kind of where they're coming from with the daily red pill reference here. So just wanted to get that out of the way in case there's any questions as to what the daily red pill actually was. So here's the first big term we're going to jump on in this chapter: sad clown or sad clown syndrome. It is actually a reference to The Sopranos. And here are the two quotes that I pulled. Once again, being a little bit more tech savvy, I would have pulled the video in. But Tony Soprano, for those that are not aware of the movie, is oftentimes talking to a therapist during the show. These are two quotes from when he's talking to his therapist. One, he says, I find that I have to be the sad clown, laughing on the outside and crying on the inside. And then later on in the chapter, later on in the movie, he goes, still I have to be the sad clown for my friends, for my family, a brave front, alluding to the fact that things may not always be going as he had hoped, but that he is trying his best to keep the family and the friends and the mafia heading in the right direction, thinking that he is A-OK and things are going great. So just a couple of definitions of the sad clown. He may not be obese, but he is not physically fit. He may not be alone, but he is lonely. He may not be unemployed, but he lacks purpose. And he may seem happy, but is numb and panicked. Now I'll go off the standard talk here and just talk a little bit about myself as I joined F3. A lot of what I'm reading there was what I was experiencing. Not many friends. I had nobody in the immediate area that, if let's say I had a flat tire or car trouble or needed help in some way, I had nobody locally, having just moved down to Charlotte and stayed for a couple years, that I actually knew that I felt like I counted on. I was fit, worked out at the gym daily, but also got my butt handed to me the first F3 workout I went to. So one thing that the sad clowns lack is kind of a purpose for their life. They reference in the chapter kind of shuffling through life. Tomorrow is the same as today. There is no change. There is no disruption. So it's a theme you're going to see throughout this book. Important to know what they mean when they're talking about the sad clown here. So they also mention in the chapter the phrase mascot, which is to seem rather than to be. A mascot is comfortable with the status quo. And I will read this quote directly from the book, just because I found it pretty impactful. Going it alone, the mascot is doomed to fail because no one can disengage the death grip he holds on his own status quo. Absent a disruptor, a man who is willing and able to create a disturbance in his innervated life, the mascot will remain just as he is, clinging to the capsized boat of his life and incapable of initiating the movement required to get right. So one of the questions they talk about early on in the chapter, one of the Socratics is, can a man get right by himself? This chapter right here points directly to no. He needs a man willing to disrupt his current status quo and push him towards acceleration. Again, something we'll be talking about further as the book goes on. And as you see here, another direct quote from the book: a man needs help to get right. So here's a good chart that Posse put together, and I'm directly stealing from him, but it shows the amateur or the mascot versus the pro. And I'm not going to read down through all these, but I'll just comment on a few of them. To seem to be rather than to seem. It talks in the book about an amateur or a mascot who will often make resolutions that never follows through with them. They're typically done by the end of January, where a pro completes the resolution, sets goals for himself, pushes to complete those goals. And it's really a proactive versus reactive mindset. It is being prepared versus reacting to things that come your way. So we'll talk further about the pro mindset versus the amateur or mascot here later on. So esse quam verde, and I know I butchered that pronunciation, is referenced in the book. Just so happens that's also on the Great Seal of the state of North Carolina. So it translates to be rather than to seem. And just want to take a few minutes here to talk about, how do we take this chapter and push it into our daily lives, specifically with F3. So how do we be better prepared to take that daily red pill, to be better prepared going forward? And I'll break it down into the 3 F's. So there is the fitness piece, beat the daily fart sack, get out of bed, get to a workout. Once you're at the workout, push to improve from the day before. For some of us, that means maybe getting out of the standard boot camp and going to one of the hour-long running workouts, or from a 45-minute boot camp to the hour-long boot camp. For others of us, it means actually going to lift weights. We've got a group that does a lot of running, but we never see them at Diesel or at Chiseled or Cowbell. So there's all different kinds of ways this can be pushed to expand on what we're currently doing to better prepare our bodies physically for the daily grind. And then the next one is the second F, deepening relationships with others to increase interconnectedness. Now, for me, that's probably one of the hardest ones. I think I've spoken before about some social anxiety I deal with. But for those of you that are getting there early to workouts, or that are staying late for workouts and practicing this, walking up to guys you don't see all the time, asking them how they're doing, how's your job going, how's your relationship with your wife, how's kids' sports going, all those things to just build deeper relationships, and not the superficial relationships. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing good. If somebody asks me how I'm doing, I can guarantee you with 99% accuracy, I'm going to tell you, hey, I'm doing good. And I'm not going to actually give you some of the deeper things going on in my life. So I would just say there, be specific when you're talking with guys. Ask them actual pointed questions, not how are you doing. It's how is work going? Hadn't seen you at a workout. Is everything going all right at home? It's those deeper questions. And then lastly, the third F, which can go in 2 directions here. One is deepening your relationship with that great sky cue. This book does not lay out any one particular faith. They just refer to the sky cue as something bigger than yourself. and for me, that third F is more improving things around me, improving the community, working to better as much as I can the things around me. So I'll end it on that one and go to the next slide. So this is our last slide, and this is a direct copy of Posse. So once again, thank you. But he put together a great talk on one of the previous Q sources. Probably the second time I went through it. This is the third time going through Q source for me. But he put together this slide and this representation of building positive habits, and those habits then turn into routines, and those routines then turn into guardrails that allow you to go faster down the road. So when we're talking about positive habits, I think Shot Dog might have used this as an example before, but we're just talking about going to an F3 workout. What are some building blocks or positive habits that you can put into place to make sure you have a higher chance of getting to that workout the next morning? So he talked about how he would lay his clothes out the night before, how he would set an alarm to make sure he got up, how he would get to bed on time to make sure he got enough rest to get up in the morning. And then he did that consistently enough to where it was no more, hey, I need to set an alarm for tomorrow. It became more of a routine to where you bring all those positive habits together. It becomes a routine and allows you to have more success in getting out of the bed, getting to a workout, pushing through some of the harder runs and stuff. So I'll kind of end it on this slide. Again, an important chapter talking about sad clowns, what they are. It's really the basis of what F3 was built around. It's the problem. One of the problems that Dread and OTB recognized in their daily lives is just fathers, husbands shuffling around and getting through life without any friends, without any purpose, losing their fight with trying to keep their weight down. So it's really part of what F3 was started to help solve the problem it was to solve. So if you read the Free to Lead book, he talks about seeing that in his community around him and what was the fix, and it became over time kind of shifted around to become what it is today, but it really was started to fix that sad clown syndrome. So anyway, I will leave it there. If you've got any questions, we can certainly talk about it Friday and go through the chapter on a deeper level, but this was meant to be somewhat of an overview covering some of the bigger points. So we will talk to you guys on Friday.